Carla Jimenez has been a dental hygienist in Tucson, Arizona for 26 years. Last spring, at 62, she retired with $310,000 saved. Her neighbor retired the same month with $900,000 saved. But Carla is doing better than he is, not a little better, noticeably better. And once you understand why, you'll never look at a retirement number the same way again. If this kind of plain talk about money is useful to you, consider subscribing. No pressure, just good to have you here. Let's start at the top. Number 1, the made-up number. A machinist in Toledo spent years chasing a figure he saw in a magazine, $1 million. He hit it at 61 and still felt broke because his mortgage wasn't paid off and his health insurance premium alone was $600 a month. The number in the magazine had nothing to do with his actual life. Here's the mechanism. Retirement isn't about hitting a target that some article picked for you. It's about knowing your own monthly number, what it actually costs you to live, and multiplying it by how many years you expect to need it. Number 2, the paid-off house. A retired school teacher in Ohio had less saved than most of her friends, but her house had been paid off for 11 years. Her friends were still writing mortgage checks well into their 70s. When your housing cost drops to just taxes and upkeep, your monthly number shrinks dramatically, and every dollar saved stretches further. It's not about the size of the pile, it's about the size of the hole you're filling every month. Number 3, the part-time bridge. A retired postal worker in Sacramento didn't quit cold. He drove a shuttle bus 15 hours a week for the first 3 years of retirement. That income covered his groceries and gas, which meant his savings sat untouched and kept growing instead of shrinking. The mechanism is simple. Even a small paycheck in the early years takes enormous pressure off your savings because it's not just the income, it's the years those savings get to keep compounding instead of being drawn down. Ask yourself, could a few hours a week buy your savings 3 extra years of growth? Now, here's a piece of history worth knowing because it explains a lot about why this whole topic feels so confusing. 50 years ago, most people didn't manage their own retirement money at all. Companies did. You worked somewhere for 30 years, and when you left, a pension paid you a fixed check every month until you died. You never had to pick a number. The company did the math, and the company took the risk. Then, in the early 1980s, a change in the tax code created something almost by accident. A benefits consultant working with a bank client noticed a section of the tax law could let employees put pre-tax income into a savings account with company matching. It wasn't designed to replace pensions, but companies realized very quickly that it was far cheaper to hand employees a savings account than to guarantee a pension for life. Back to the list. Number 4, the 3-bucket habit. A retired electrician in Charlotte split his savings 3 ways in his head. 1 bucket for the next 2 years of living expenses, sitting safely in cash. 1 bucket for the next 8 years in something steady and modest. And 1 bucket for growth, money he wouldn't touch for a decade or more. This mechanism protects you from the one thing that wrecks retirements, being forced to sell investments at a loss because you need cash right now. When the market drops, he simply spent from his cash bucket and let the growth bucket recover on its own time. Number 5, the insurance conversation nobody wants to have. A retired nurse in Denver spent an afternoon with an advisor just going over what Medicare does and doesn't cover. She found out that dental, hearing aids, and long-term care weren't included and budgeted separately for all 3 starting on day 1. The mechanism is simple. Health costs in retirement are not a footnote. They're one of the largest line items you'll have, and most people underestimate them because they assume basic coverage handles everything. Number 6, the spending plan, not just the saving plan. A retired shop owner in Portland had spent 30 years being careful with money. In retirement, he found the hardest habit to build wasn't saving, it was giving himself permission to spend on a plan without guilt. The mechanism is a simple withdrawal habit, deciding in advance what percentage of savings you'll draw down each year, then sticking to it. So back to Carla, the dental hygienist in Tucson. Her house was paid off. She'd built a small side income teaching hygiene classes 2 days a week, and she knew her actual monthly number down to the dollar instead of chasing a figure she'd seen somewhere online. Her neighbor had more saved, but none of those habits in place, and he felt the squeeze almost immediately. If you take one thing from this today, let it be this: sit down this week and figure out your real monthly number, what it actually costs you to live the life you want. Not a headline figure, your number. If any of these habits sound like your family or your own plan, I would genuinely like to hear about it in the comments. Those stories are why this channel exists, and you subscribing will motivate us to continue posting, so we would appreciate it if you could click the subscribe button.